6. Psychometry, reading objects. Introduction to psychometry. The journey in the field of extrasensory perception now takes us towards a lesser-known but equally fascinating terrain, the reading of information from objects. This practice is known as psychometry, a term that derives from the Greek psyche, which means soul or mind, and metron, which means measure. At its essence, psychometrics is about reading the energy signatures or vibrations that objects accumulate over time through interaction with people or events. If we think of an object of great sentimental value, such as a pendant that belonged to a grandfather or a personal diary, we intuitively understand how these objects can seem imbued with the energy of the people with whom they have been associated. Similarly, psychometrics suggests that every object, regardless of its monetary or sentimental value, holds a sort of a memory of past interactions. Practitioners of psychometrics claim to be able to perceive these memories or vibrations by touching the object and using their extrasensory sensitivity. The information detected can vary widely, from details about the person who owned the item, to significant events in which the item participated, or even perceptions of places related to the item. While psychometrics is less well known than abilities such as telepathy or clairvoyance, it has received considerable attention in the paranormal literature and in certain areas of psychological research. Its potential implications are fascinating. If objects can indeed keep track of past events or people, this could open up new avenues for understanding our history and, perhaps, the very nature of reality. Naturally, psychometry, like other psychic abilities, raises questions and doubts. How exactly do these perceptions work? Can they be validated or reliably measured? What could be their practical use? These are some of the questions we will address in the following paragraphs. But before exploring these topics in more depth, it is important to address the key concept underlying psychometrics, the idea that objects can act as energy repositories. This is the idea we will explore in the next section, objects as energy repositories. Objects as repositories of energy. Central to psychometrics is the idea that material things absorb and store the energy of human interactions and surrounding events. This concept may seem foreign to our traditional understandings of reality, but it is actually deeply rooted in many spiritual and philosophical traditions. For example, in Asian cultures it is often believed that objects can be imbued with the chi, or life energy, of those who have owned or handled them. Similar beliefs are found in many indigenous cultures, where things are believed to contain the spirit, or essence of an individual or event. A fundamental premise of these beliefs is that energy, in some form, can be transferred and stored. From a physical point of view, this concept is confirmed by the law of conservation of energy, which states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but only transformed from one form to another. Applied to objects, this theory suggests that they could harvest energy from physical or emotional interactions. For example, an engagement ring might absorb the love and joy of the moments it was worn, while an item that belonged to a bereaved person might hold their sadness and worries. The key question, of course, is how this energy can be felt or read. This is the task of those who practice psychometrics. Through physical contact or proximity to an object, psychometrists claim to be able to tune in to the held energy vibrations, gaining insights or images regarding the people or events associated with the object. While this idea might sound fantastic, the ability to read hidden energies in objects has a long history, with known cases dating back centuries. And while the concept may not be widely accepted within mainstream science, there is plenty of fascinating evidence to suggest that there is something to these perceptions that is valid. In the next section, Historical Examples of Psychometrics, we will explore some of these cases and see how the practice of psychometrics has evolved over time. The science behind the perceptions of objects. Despite the numerous testimonies of people who claim to have psychometric abilities, science is still looking for concrete evidence that can confirm or deny these claims. Researchers in the field of parapsychology, the science that studies paranormal phenomena, are trying to understand the mechanisms that could underlie these abilities. One theory proposes that objects could absorb and hold the energy of the owner or the people who manipulated them. According to some, this energy could then be read and interpreted by particularly sensitive people, allowing them to access hidden information. This would explain why personal items, frequently used and handled, appear to be particularly useful for psychometric readings. An alternative theory suggests that psychometry may be a form of telepathy or clairvoyance, rather than a skill in its own right. In this case, the person taking the psychometric reading may simply be able to access information held in another person's mind, rather than in objects. Some studies have tried to test these theories by subjecting people who claim to have psychometric abilities to a series of controlled tests. For example, these people may be asked to provide information about an unknown object without having any information about its owner or history. Although some results have been promising, it has not yet been possible to demonstrate with certainty the existence of psychometric abilities in a strictly scientific context. Importantly, the absence of scientific evidence does not necessarily mean that psychometrics does not exist. It could simply be that current science is not yet able to understand or measure the phenomena in question. In any case, research in this field continues and could lead to interesting discoveries in the future. In the next section, Methods of Psychometric Practice, we will explore techniques commonly used by both amateur and professional psychometric practitioners. This will include both traditional methods, based on intuition and sensory perception, and more modern techniques, which seek to combine the psychometric approach with other practices such as meditation and guided visualization. Methods of Psychometric Practice. The practice of psychometrics can vary greatly from individual to individual. While some practitioners might rely heavily on their intuition, others may rely on a mix of techniques and tools. There are several ways to approach this phenomenon, some of which we will explore. First of all, mental preparation is often considered a key element. Some practitioners suggest that entering a state of deep relaxation, often achieved through meditation or breathing techniques, is helpful. This can help clear the mind and open perceived channels for psychometric information. Once an appropriate state of tranquility has been achieved, the practitioner can begin reading by touching or holding the object. Some practitioners prefer to close their eyes to limit sensory distractions, while others may prefer to maintain eye contact with the object. At this point, the practitioner may begin to perceive various sensations or mental images. These perceptions can be vague or extremely detailed, depending on the practitioner and the object itself. Some practitioners report perceiving emotions, sounds, or even specific scenes related to the object's history. Some use a method known as a scanning, where the object is slowly examined with the hands to look for areas of particularly intense energy. Others, on the other hand, prefer a more intuitive approach and wait for the information to arrive spontaneously. After reading, it is important for the practitioner to take time to disconnect from the object and return to one's normal state of awareness. This can help prevent the buildup of extraneous energies and maintain good mental and emotional health. All these methods, although interesting and promising, however, remain scientifically unproven and as such are subject to research and experimentation. In the next section, Tests and Experiments, we will discuss some of the experiments and tests conducted in an attempt to confirm or disprove the existence of psychometric abilities. These include both controlled scientific studies and personal experiences of individuals or groups. Tests and Experiments. Over time, numerous attempts have been made to verify psychometrics through scientific testing and experimentation. Although the experiments conducted did not yield overt results, they provided an indispensable platform for scientific discussion and inquiry. Tests conducted in the field of psychometrics often involve using objects whose history is known only to the experimenter. The practitioner, who does not have access to this information, then attempts to detect details of the object's history through psychometrics. These tests are often performed under controlled conditions to minimize the possibility of external influences. An interesting example of such studies was conducted by Dr. J.B. Rhine at Duke University in the USA. Psychometric practitioners were asked to read information from objects sealed in plastic bags. While the experiments did not yield results significantly exceeding random chance, they have generated a great deal of interest in the field. More recent experiments have tried to use modern technologies to measure the effect of psychometrics. For example, using electroencephalogram (EEG) to monitor brain activity during psychometric readings has yielded some intriguing results, suggesting that brain activity during a reading can differ significantly from normal activity. Some scholars have proposed double-blind experiments, in which neither the operator nor the subject knows the history of the object. This helps eliminate the influence of the placebo effect and other psychological factors. Although various clues have emerged in favor of the effective existence of psychometrics, the results are not yet conclusive and the debate between skeptics and supporters continues. In the following section, Criticisms and Challenges in Interpretation, we will discuss the difficulties that arise in interpreting the results of these tests and experiments and how these challenges are reflected in the scientific dialogue on psychometrics. Criticisms and Challenges in Interpretation. Research in the field of psychometrics has encountered several interpretative challenges that have paved the way for criticism and skepticism. First, the absence of a solid physical theory that can explain how information is stored in objects and how it can be perceived has made it difficult for many to accept psychometrics as a real phenomenon. Another challenge is the confirmation bias problem. Individuals are naturally predisposed to seek out, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms their pre-existing beliefs. This can lead to an overemphasis on successes and a downplaying or ignoring of failures, creating a distorted image of the effectiveness of psychometrics. Furthermore, difficulties in setting up rigorously controlled and reproducible experiments have made it difficult to accumulate a significant body of empirical evidence. The placebo effect, selective perception, and information obtained unconsciously through the normal senses can all contribute to the seemingly positive results. Despite these criticisms, there are those who argue that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. As science seeks to understand the mechanisms underlying psychometrics, it is important to recognize the value many people place on these experiences and the information they believe they have gained through them. While psychometrics remains a topic of debate within the scientific community, its presence and application in the modern world is undeniable. In the next section, Contemporary Applications of Psychometrics, we will explore how these practices have been integrated into contemporary societies and how they are being used across various industries. Contemporary Applications of Psychometrics. The application of psychometrics in the modern world has found its way into various fields, despite the challenges and criticisms discussed in the previous paragraph. Many individuals and professionals make use of potential psychometric skills, both in formal and informal contexts. In the fields of art and history, for example, curators and restorers may seek to feel an object's energies to better understand its past and cultural value. Even if these perceptions are not considered as definitive proof, they can still help form a more complete picture of the object in question. In the therapeutic setting, some holistic counselors use psychometrics as a tool to deal with emotional issues or to provide a new perspective on personal issues. For example, a family item could be used to connect the client to past memories or feelings. In criminal investigation cases, despite the absence of official acknowledgement, there have been instances where psychics have been brought in to direct objects related to crimes or missing persons. These cases, however controversial, are a manifestation of the attempt to use psychometrics in a practical context. Finally, many individuals use psychometrics on a personal level, trying to perceive the energies of their objects to increase awareness of themselves and their surroundings. While these experiences are highly subjective, they can have a significant impact on an individual's perception and understanding of the world. Hi, everyone. I hope this journey into the world of psychometrics has been as interesting and enlightening for you as it has been for us. If you liked the video and don't want to miss the next chapters of this fascinating exploration, click on the subscribe button and activate the notifications. Also remember to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Your support is essential to grow our channel and our community. See you on the next episode.